What is up, everybody? Welcome to Sixers Postgame. We are breaking down the Sixers 117-107 loss against the Celtics. Sixers move to 8-3 on the season. Joining me, he is Tiago at Tiago PHL. What's up, Tiago?
Chris, feels like we've done hundreds of these pods where the Sixers fall flat against Boston late. So we're just going to tackle that on into the library of many Celtics letdowns. This being another one of those.
Yeah, it was a close game, but Boston came through and Embiid struggled down the stretch. And let's jump right there. Joel Embiid finished this game. He had, as I pull it up, 20 points. He was a minus 25, a team worst, negative 25, 8 of 16 from the floor, 9 boards, 7 assists. Tiago, what happened?
Yeah, I'm going to put the numbers aside with Joel Embiid for a second because I think his performance tonight speaks to a bigger picture. We talk about Maxey making a leap. We talk about the Sixers having now alternatives to build on the roster. But let's make one thing abundantly clear. The Sixers are not going anywhere until Joel Embiid starts to assert himself against teams like Boston. There is no path for them to win a championship. It doesn't matter what leap Maxey makes. It doesn't matter what other star player they bring or what other complementary piece. I thought it was another very telling performance by Joel Embiid against a team that has clearly turned him into a pretzel. And I just thought the unwillingness to make winning plays, especially late, is just something that is plagued Embiid for most of his career, and specifically against Boston. So you start looking at, all right, with a new coach, a new system, how is that going to change? And it hasn't, at least not yet. It's the over dribbling late in the clock. It's the idea that you're a guard when you're not a guard, late in games. It's a bunch of issues. So yeah, it's very disappointing. I thought it was another telling performance by Embiid.
Yeah. What about you, Shaw? What are your thoughts on Embiid, especially these last 2 games?
Yeah, tonight was especially frustrating, more so than last night to me. I thought the pace got to him last night, that he just couldn't keep up with that. Tonight was a game where he should have been on his A game, and he wasn't. And I do think that the hip maybe is bugging him a little bit. If that's a real thing, then he shouldn't have been playing. But the bottom line is it just wasn't good enough. It was sloppy in the beginning. The first quarter was bad. And then in the fourth quarter, like that moment where he's finding himself in the corner, I don't even know why he's in that spot. And then to try and dribble out of a double team, it's just reckless and irresponsible. So a whole lot of bad decision-making on his part. And it's very clear that they lack a secondary ball handler. And Embiid's trying to take that upon himself, and he's just not good enough to do it in these roles. Got his pocket pick a couple times just dribbling up the court. Those kind of things just can't happen. And he's far from the tone setter that they need him to be. And for the most part, I think a lot of us have given him breaks on that, as far as they need other guys to step up, things like that. But when push comes to shove, it's got to be the MVP of the league, being that guy, the dude that steps up and does it. It wasn't tonight, and that has to change moving forward.
Yeah, for sure. Mr. Rudy Poo says Joel Embiid played for Boston tonight. Paul Reed was better than Embiid. Why bring this lazy 7'2" guard in? Top 4 team, second round exit. Quentin is back. He is back.
Chris, they lost Tatum on the bench with no Jaylen Brown, no Porzingis, and Embiid on the court. They lost those minutes by a massive margin. To the point where, I don't know if you noticed, in the second quarter when they finally brought in Springer and those guys, they quickly reverted back to score. That is very telling for an MVP player, right? You got a full backup unit out there, and you can't take advantage of it. Granted, they don't have another point guard that can usually get on the ball in certain positions, but I just think that his willingness to face up Horford all the time.
Yeah.
I will square him up and be like, hey, man, take your pull up. I'm okay with that, but you're not going to get inside of my body and bully me. And he's willing to do that over and over again. He has completely one more point, Sean. He has completely abandoned the 3-point shooting. And if you notice, Boston on those pick and rolls with Maxey, they're just blitzing Maxey now. They're not even playing Joel off the pop. So it's a bunch of stuff that I'm like, man, you gotta see the game and contribute to winning. You're not doing any of that. So it's very disappointing.
Mm-hmm. And the most frustrating part to me about the Horford thing is, number one, we've been doing this for damn near a decade now of complaining about Al Horford taking Joel Embiid's lunch, and I thought we were past those days. But he's just like leaving the ball in a way that Horford has very active hands and is very good at reading. He knows Joel's moves better than anyone across the entire NBA. But the fact that Embiid's like giving him the opportunity to get little pokes in and get the ball prodded out is absolutely insane to just even leave that be an option. So either make the decision where you actually play like a post player and back this guy down because he is capable of doing that even with Horford, or get the ball spinning, don't slow up, and don't give him the opportunity. It's frustrating. Like, as much as Horford deserves credit for figuring out Joel to an extent and knowing his moves, Joel, you got to be smart enough to recognize that and change things up a little bit, and he just hasn't.
And defensively, I mean, there were 3 possessions in the third quarter. He didn't even step out on those Horford threes.
Yeah.
Just got on the screen, didn't even make an effort to get out there. The guy's shooting lights out, man. He's a great 3-point shooter. He's out there specifically to shoot 3-pointers.
Yeah.
You got to recognize that early in the possession and get yourself in a position to defend. He did none of that in the third quarter. Zero. So,
yeah, plus minus is not the end all be all. Let's be clear, but Joel Embiid is at negative 35 the last 3 games. 3 straight negatives.
Game worst tonight.
Yeah.
Game worst.
Negative 25 tonight. He was a -1 against the Pacers in game 1, a -9 in game 2, and tonight a -25, I think it was. So,
and I do think the pace got to him a little bit with Indiana, right? So Indiana plays that up and down style. And I thought that maybe playing Joel for full 12 minutes in the third quarter again may have not been the best decision by Nurse. Yeah, granted, he set him for 5 or 6 minutes in the first quarter, but maybe changing the minutes around may get him a bigger energy boost down the stretch. So I think there are components to that, but it's still not an excuse.
Yeah. All right, let's get some comments real quick. And then I'll throw it to you, Sean, about what we should talk about next. Every year we are scared of the Celtics. I seriously hate being a fan of this team. Oh, my God. On the heels of letting Miles Turner drop 17 to 4th, Embiid has no heart. Springer played well. Maybe we should talk about Jaden Springer next. Let's do that, actually. He looked great in the first half. Mr. Rudy Poo says Al Horford is better than Embiid. Oh, my gosh. I say it all the time. Stop open threes, and we beat Boston every single time. A lot of doom and gloom going on right now. The Village says my Sixers excitement has been smashed. Early process vibes tonight with Rocco.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
Rocco specifically, I loved everything I saw tonight. I do think, like, if we want to take a positive out of tonight, and Springer will be a positive that we'll mention as well, but I think Covington can slide into like an Aaron Gordon type role. I thought he had a really good feel for the way he was finding himself on the baseline. 16 points is more than I would ever expect to get out of Robert and Covington on a nightly basis. He was active defensively, getting steals. I like Rocco. I think he should be here to stay. He's a guy that I think should be within this rotation in the full time.
Yeah, he's good, man. He's giving them quality minutes.
Mm-hmm.
It's one loss, guys. We were in it the entire time. We're 8-3. We'll bounce back. We need to chill. The Village says Maxey's shying away too much. There's been times when I just want him to keep firing. Yes, Chicago.
Not all losses are created equal. So when you lose to the Pacers off of back-to-back or whatever, I'll chalk that up as a schedule loss. I'm looking at you against Boston. I'm looking at you against Milwaukee. You know, he had a 7-turnover game against Milwaukee to start the year. So, yeah, you can eat up against the Wizards and you can eat up against whatever. But these are the games that you're going to get judged on. So it's not just, we'll move on from this one. I'm sorry. It's just the way that it is.
Mr. Rudy Poo says Embiid slapped every Sixers fan in the face today. I'm pissed off. I even think I saw a pick and roll between Max. I don't think I even saw something's off about Maxey. Play-by-play with JJ says this was an annoying loss, but nothing to hang your head around. All right, keep the comments coming. The national media got what they wanted tonight. They got it. The Sixers got it back-to-back, and they had that going against Philly. Let's get into we'll talk about Tobias a little bit. We'll talk about Tobias, Thiago's favorite player, in just a second. But let's talk about Jaden Springer tonight, who had 9 points in 20 minutes, guys. 20 minutes. Went from nothing to 20 minutes. He was a plus 20. He had 7 of those points in the first half. He hit a 3-pointer. Yep. I love the energy. I was waiting to see this against the Pacers when Tyrese Halliburton was cooking them for 2 straight games. We didn't see anything from him, but he got some burn tonight. He looked good. I'll throw it to you, Sean. Thoughts on Mr. Jaden Springer?
Yeah, he absolutely changed the game tonight. That they were down 17 when he came into this game. He was that spark off the bench. We know he's capable defensively. Some of those plays against Tatum were just eye-popping, man. Like that one poke around and started the fast break. Incredibly impressive. There's a small minority of NBA players that are even capable of that. So it was nice to see that out of the Springer. I think the corner 3 really was helpful for his confidence today. I think that kind of put him in stride. But yeah, he does have that eye-popping defensive ability. When we're comparing him to guys like Marcus Morris, who's getting minutes, like there's no reason why Springer isn't that guy. Patrick Beverley was also terrible tonight. Like Springer definitely outplayed him by that other guys can't on this roster. And for that reason alone, he's worth investing in, developing, and making sure you find minutes for him on a night-by-night basis. I was really impressed with him today. He absolutely changed the entire flow of that game. He was the key X factor and spark for the Sixers tonight.
Yeah, like you could see like Springer's like a dude that it's clear he's trying to do way too much, it's kind of good to see him at times just relax, let the game come to him, let him learn to play his game instead of vice versa. Thiago, what was your take on Jaden Springer tonight?
I mean, my biggest takeaway is that they need to figure out a way to steal defensive possessions because they're not a particularly great defensive team. And Springer is exactly that. He's the kind of guy who's going to get in your body. He's going to create steals. He's going to create deflections. His pairing with Paul Reed, Robert Covington in that second quarter, it was sensational. I mean, they were getting deflections, blocks, steals, easy buckets on the other end constantly throughout the entire quarter. He played way more than I expected him to play. I see him as a rotation player moving forward. I don't think there's a world where Springer isn't playing 10 to 15 minutes a night because of the impact that he does defensively. When you're on the fact that, he can hit on a corner 3, he can attack a closeout off the corner. He does some interesting things defensively. He's not a complete zero, but he's got to get the minutes, man. The minutes. You can tell he's out there thinking, overthinking, and there is offensive skill there. You just got to get it out of him. So when you're putting Marcus Morris out there for 10 to 12 minutes a night, and the guy has no idea what he's doing out there, literally zero.
On either side of the floor.
On either side of the floor. I mean, offensively, defensively, you're eating into this developmental minutes. And this kid, he's out there, he's making an impact. He should have been out there against Halliburton because he can get in Halliburton's body and bother him. I mean, Halliburton had a highway for 2 games. Had a highway right down the Sixers defense for 8 full quarters, and this guy didn't get off the bench.
Yeah. So,
he's got to be out there full time. Let him get his feel for the game. He's going to make mistakes. He made a ton of mistakes, fouling. Had a poor screen at one point. So he's got to play, man. I think the Sixers have a fantastic rotation piece there. I think he's done everything so far in the summer and so far this year to warrant it. So we'll see.
Yeah. Here's his shot chart. Very Jaden Springer, but he did it at corner 3. That was awesome. Our people in the comments are loving some Jaden Springer. Anthony asks, Thiago, is Embiid being told by the coaching staff not to guard the 3-point line, or is he just being lazy?
I mean, I don't know what he's being told by the coaching staff. When you watch him out there, I think it's a combination of, he's not going to make this shot. I'm not going to go out there and extend myself out there. But Al Horford's a reliable 3-point shooter. So I think it's a combination of you just not putting the full effort out there. Which I can get for 82 games. Like, you're not going to be out there contesting every shot, but specifically against Boston, specific moments against Boston, right? When Al Horford's out there in the third quarter of a 1-possession game, you should not die on the screen.
Yeah.
I mean, you should not, right? If you're playing the Wizards and it's whoever the hell whoever's shooting out there, I don't care. But Al Horford in a one possession game, you got to make a stronger effort. So that's what I'm looking at, and I just didn't see that in the third quarter from Joel.
Yeah, I do think a lot of it is schematic. I'm not excusing the effort. There were a ton of effort lapses tonight that I saw, but I do think like a lot of him not going out is schematic on Nurse's part, that it feels like the system is to chase three-point shooters off the line and kind of funnel them into Embiid. They did a bad job of that tonight, absolutely. But like it reminds me of the Utah Jazz old defense, the way they used to do with Rudy Gobert when they had guys that were pretty much negative defenders on the perimeter. But it just didn't fully function. And as a result of this, that's Boston's whole offense, is this inside out, want to create these 3-point looks. And that's my greatest concern with the Sixers team overall. Part of this is just the lack of volume they're getting. But tonight specifically, the Celtics shot 18 of 50 from three. Sixers shot 11 of 30. When you're allowing a team 20 more 3-point attempts than you're getting, and this is becoming a theme. Last night against the Pacers shot 13 of 37 from three. Sixers were 6 for 22. That just can't happen on a night in and night out basis. You're not going to win games if you're just giving that team that many more attempts than you.
Yeah. And I'm just so important on that because I think Sean brings up an interesting point. A big reason why teams shoot a crazy amount of 3-pointers against the Sixers is that the Sixers don't really have anybody who can deny dribble penetration or even like slow it down. Like Cove is a bigger forward. He can't really get a low bend. He's not particularly quick laterally. Morris, obviously, Batum, Harris. This is why you got to play guys like Springer, because Springer can put up a resistance, right? And he can protect Embiid from getting out and extending himself, from having to cover the rim. So when Jaden's out there, you can see that resistance, fighting through screens, denying a drive here and there. And you got to rely on these players through 82 games, man, because they make a difference over the long haul. And when it's the fourth quarter, Joel's not as guessed as he usually is because he's not having to chase people out everywhere. So it's a combination of a bunch of things. I think they got to rely on their youth a little bit more. Playing Paul Reed at the 4 is another thing that they should lean on more frequently. So those things got to be part of their repertoire, I believe.
Yeah. Anthony says Celtics and Pacers killed us getting wide open threes because they are setting screens and cutting, and Embiid is just standing under the rim ball watching. Rudy Poo is not a fan of Embiid. Embiid is lazy. Nick says Doc Rivers on the call for the Lakers game tonight. Not watching that.
Put on mute.
Yeah, exactly. When Maxey gets trapped in face guarded, nobody knows what to do. Embiid is regressing. He looks terrible without the free throws. No KJ Martin again, which is interesting. Yeah. The Village says, we lose now. I got to see Doc Rivers on game 2. Not my night. It's nobody's night. And Steven says, we miss Oubre and Batum. No doubt.
For sure.
Yeah.
Let's roll into Paul Reed, who I thought was, again, solid in this one. Paul Reed had 10 points. He was a plus 15, 6 boards, 2 assists, a block, 4-5 from the field. Sean, what were your thoughts on Paul Reed?
Yeah, he was. These are the type of Paul Reed minutes that I want to see. That he was active. He was all over the place, getting putbacks, getting steals. Hit a 3-pointer tonight. That was fun to see and good to see.
I love the crowd reaction to that. That was amazing.
Yeah, 3-ball Paul. So good to see that. But yeah, I thought it was good. That's what we ask out of him. I still want to see the Paul Reed and Joel Embiid lineups. We still have yet to see them share the court together. Why not? Let's try it. I want to see what that looks like. So that needs to happen soon. But yeah, I thought Paul played well tonight. I think this was probably his best game of the season.
Yeah. What about you, Tiago?
2 assists, man. He's starting to be a little more active, passing off the roll.
Yeah.
He had a good assist off the roll, and then he made a horrendous pass. I think it was to James Springer. But you see the effort and the awareness that I would never in my wildest dream ever envision Paul Reed being a guy who can pass off the roll. So you're seeing more and more of his game expand. On the glass, when the Sixers went with Springer, Maxey, and Melton, you have 3 guards out there. Granted, Springer and Melton did a good job on the glass, but that is a load on Paul Reed to anchor your rebounding. And I thought that he did a pretty good job of that through most of the fourth quarter. So it was a very good game by him. I'm very pleased with the way that he's played over the last week or so. I mean, they're getting some extremely positive minutes from Reed. And like Sean said, play him at the 4, man. You'd be surprised by what you would get from those two guys.
Yeah.
The last 4 games, Embiid is a plus 37.
Reed.
Plus Paul Reed, yeah. Play was a plus 7, plus 12, plus 3. Tonight was a plus 15. That's awesome. Any other takeaways before we roll into player of the game, guys?
Yeah, I don't think so. The 3-pointers is probably my biggest concern right now. Like, the effort was bad, Joel was bad, but if they're going to get outshot like that on a nightly basis, they're just not going to win as many games as this team should. So I do think that there needs to be like some schematic changes there. And Maxey, by the way, Maxey led the Sixers in 3-point attempts with 7 tonight. To put that into perspective, every single member of the Celtics starting lineup attempted more than 7 threes. That 8 was the lowest out of their starters. That just can't happen. And for a guy like Maxey, who's been top 5 in the NBA in 3-point percentage the past 2 years, you just got to get up more shots, man. Let it fly. I would rather you shoot 0 for 10 than calling it. Like yesterday's game, I missed yesterday's post game, so I got to toss this one in too. But he had 1 3-point attempt with 5 minutes left in the third quarter. That can never, ever happen. So just got to be more volume there.
Yep, absolutely. No hesitancy. Yeah.
And to Sean's point, I thought that Maxey was really good to start the game. He was very aggressive, got downhill, created a couple corner threes, got to the rim. Open in the fourth quarter, I thought we were going to see some of the similar type of playmaking. And we got a ton of Tobias Harris to open the fourth quarter. A ton.
Yeah.
A ton. Like, I wrote down on my notes, there's way too much Tobias Harris going on here. Post-ups. He was trying to make the right plays. I'm not faulting for that, but it just doesn't flow the same way as it does with Maxey. And I just thought that Maxey in the early in that fourth quarter, when it looked like the Sixers were maybe going to take control of the game, he deferred a little bit too much to Tobias. So I thought that overall, big picture, very impressed by him against Boston. He's been shown the ability to get downhill, get to his spots when Jrue Holiday's defending him. I mean, Jrue's a very physical defender, gets in his body, and Maxey just has been shoving him off and be like, hey, I'm going to get here, and I'm going to get there. So big picture, 2 very positive games from Maxey against Boston, but I just thought that he left a little bit on the table to open the fourth quarter tonight.
Okay. So you got people wanted to hear your thoughts on Tobias. Well, we already talked about that. Less Tobias, more Maxey. Village says Maxey off the screen is overthinking rather than shooting. That's on Nurse. And B, kill the momentum in the fourth quarter. People don't want to say it. I mean, I think we've been pretty critical of Embiid in this show. Embiid lack of effort when he struggles is getting old. We all know what he looks like when it looks good, but when things go bad, he just gives up, and I really lose respect over that. Nurse wants Maxey floor general instead of scorer. They got to find a balance. Absolutely got to find a balance.
Should go hand in hand. And I get like it's a struggle from Maxey's mentality to kind of balance that, but you should be opening up your scoring as a playmaker and opening up your playmaking as your threat of a score. Like, it should open each other up for the other thing. I thought he's done a good job balancing for the most part, but these past 2 games, not so much.
Yep. Man, it's funny how like the Sixers start winning and like everyone's like, the Sixers need to win every single game now. Not going to be Boston in the playoffs as the team is constructed. Just a couple of days ago, it was like pump the brakes. You know, let's see where we're at in a couple of months. It's funny how that narrative changes on a game-to-game basis. I think JoJo was constipated. Dave says Embiid cannot go back-to-back games. Tatum was torn. The schedule sucked. The schedule gods really screwed this one over for the Sixers, man. Tough string of 2 games here.
But Chris, they were down Jaylen Brown and Porzingis, so it should have been a W, man. It should have been a W. And I get the schedule loss. I completely get that. But they had Tatum out there, basically. And Drew's a good player. Derek White is, but Sixers have more talent on the court there tonight, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yep. Derek White, very good player.
All right, let's roll on to player of the game. right, player of the game. I'm going to go all first, and I'm going to go Jaden Springer. Good to see my man get off the bench. Hopefully, this is the start of a little more playing time for this guy. We need to see what this guy is, and it's been kind of frustrating to see the minutes being so limited. So for me, I'm going to go Jaden Springer. How many minutes did he play? Real quick, he played
20, I think.
20 minutes. 20 minutes plus 20? Let's freaking go. Give me Jaden Springer. What about you, Sean?
Yeah, plus 20 at 10-point loss is pretty telling from a lot of things there. But as far as my player of the game, I'm torn between two guys. I think I'm gonna go Robert Covington here. I was really impressed with him tonight. I that feel around the baseline and him playing off Joel, to me, like that's a long-term positive. That if he can continue to find those spaces and finish around the rim in the way that he did tonight, that the Sixers need a guy that can do that. It reminded me very much of an Aaron Gordon kind of role. So I was excited about what I saw by Rocco, and I'm hoping that that's here to stay.
All right. Player of the game for Patrick is the Flyers. What about you, Tiago?
They win again? What's going on, man?
I don't know. I couldn't even tell you. I didn't even know they were playing tonight.
I'm going to give it to Melton. I think that the last two games by Melton have been very, very good. Yeah. He's doing a little bit less on the ball. He's settled more into that catch and shoot role. 5 for 6 tonight. There was a big presence on the glass when the Sixers went small. So I think he's been very, very good the last two games. More like the player that I expect to see. Less of shot creation, just more of playing other guys. So I think he was very good tonight.
Yeah, that's a nice balance. You got Melton for 34 minutes, Springer for 20 minutes, Pat Bev 10 minutes. Let's keep that rolling. That rolling. I like that.
Marcus Morris would have felt like it was 40 minutes. It's like, just get him out there.
It's a bummer. I want to be like a pro Marcus Morris guy. Like he's a huge Philly guy, does a lot for the community, but that man is just cooked as a basketball
He doesn't
player.
have it. Yeah, he just looks cooked. Yeah. All right. Any other shout outs before we get into grades? I think, is this our first game without a Maxi nod? I think it's got to be. It feels like.
Yeah, definitely first one I've been a part of.
The Raptors game, the second Raptors game, Maxi did not get a shout out. Okay. So this is the second game this year. Maxi's not going to get a player of the game shout out. Let's roll on to.
He wasn't bad. So
no, yeah. Good. Let's go on to team grades.
Don't you hear me? Sweetness and light for my restless mind.
Team grades. We also have to do a quick grade of the second Pacers game since I was also not on the post game. So I'm asking for your grade for the Pacers game from last night and the Celtics game tonight, Sean, real quick.
All right, I'll go Pacers game C+. That I wasn't overly panicked over that one. It's just they couldn't run with the young kids. Like I kind of think that was the end all be all of that one. I'm more depressed about tonight. This one there was much more negative takeaways from me. I'll go C- tonight. There still was some redeeming qualities. I didn't think it was a disaster, but there are some serious issues that I think tonight pointed out as far as scheme wise, and Joel Embiid specifically was very disappointing. So C- for tonight, C+ for yesterday.
What about you, Tiago?
Yeah, I'm giving it a D tonight because your best player didn't step up against a championship level team. So you get a D. I guess the Pacers, like Sean said, I mean, it's a tough team to play against. They run up and down the court. Not usually the kind of stuff that you see in the postseason. So, yeah, I'll give it like a C+.
Yeah. Okay. We're good with that. The Village says, I'm so salty with the Sixers over the years. I turn on players quick. To be fair, I don't blame you at all. They've been giving you a lot of content to do that. So
I do think it's a different team, though. So I want to make a distinction from the past. This team plays hard. They play physical. That was not the case with Doc Rivers. That team was a bunch of dogs out there. And
Yeah.
we saw in the postseason. So you can see it out there when they're playing. They're competing at a high level, man. They're out there boxing people out. They're closing out. They're making effort plays for the most part. So I want to make that distinction. I think I get where people are coming from with the past couple of years, but I see the level of competition and the compete level way higher this year, which I think it's going to equate to a lot of wins for this team against good teams. So I think big picture, you see the difference there.
All right, let's wrap it up. Final thoughts on the game, Sean, and plugs.
Yeah, a little reality check for the Sixers team these past 2 games. I think, unfortunately, the road to 81-1 fell short. So back on track, I guess, with the Sixers. You know, they definitely need Oubre and Batum back. Who knows what's going on with Oubre, but definitely missing him on the court right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to and Batum's just awesome. I think if they have one of those 2 guys, there's a potential for today to be a different story as far as how the rotations go and how everything looked. But either way, we'll wipe this one away. You can follow me on Twitter at Sean_Bernard1. Check out my written work on Philly Sports Network. You can check out Sixers Digest here on YouTube for some short form content. Yeah, we'll be back all around here and all over the Sixers world as much as I can.
Absolutely amazing Twitter follow at Sean_Bernard1. Yeah, I agree, Quentin. I'm surprised we didn't get a lot of Oubre stuff tonight. I thought the chat would be filled with Oubre stuff, and I respect the chat for not deep diving into that. Like, let's the brakes on that for a while. Tiago, plugs, final thoughts on the loss.
Yeah, the Oubre stuff is getting weird by the second, but let's wait for it to play out. Yeah, man, I want to win the play-in tournament. Is there any way that we can win the goddamn play-in?
I'm not showing that comment, Quentin. I'm not.
What did he say?
I'm not. He says don't post that.
I mean, it's like when I get hit by a car, I'm like, I got hit right there. But I guess there was some miscommunication on the police report. Yeah, I mean,
as someone who I rode my bike to work through Center City like every day.
Wow.
And I ran into cars like all the freaking time. You know, I saw people like bikers like run into cars, people getting hit by cars all the time. It happens. So
yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, like I said, I want to win the play-in tournament, so we got a couple play-in tournaments game coming up against the Hawks and the Cavs, I believe. Those got to be W, man. I'm going to be breaking some walls. I want to be out in Vegas, beating Jokic or whoever is coming out of the West. So, yeah, I'm excited for that. And you can follow me at TiagoPHL on Twitter.
All right, guys. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Please give this video a like wherever you're watching. Please consider subscribing. He is Tiago at TiagoPHL. He is Sean at Sean_Bernard1. I am Dibes. We'll catch you on Friday. For Tiago, for Sean, for myself, stay awesome, everyone.